I'm not pretending there's nothing to see here. I'm just stating what the FBI have come to the conclusion it was not a sex trafficking ring.
Well, nobody's seen that.
Which means Ghislaine is in jail for not trafficking to anybody. So she should be released right away.
She was found guilty.
But there were no clients. There was no client list, Piers. You're not understanding it. I like you a lot.
You're not understanding she was convicted and sent to prison.
I know, it's very frustrating for people like you, because it's just like the media has built it up into this huge thing. Yes, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein was a spy. Like, that is true. Like, he was working for various different intelligences. We know that. But the fact is, he was not lending out the girls to his friends.
Sometimes the most shocking moments in political media aren't when people argue. It's when someone says something so outrageous that the entire room just stops. And today's clip is exactly one of those moments. Because, believe it or not, in this particular exchange, Piers Morgan, a man who is usually right in the middle of controversy, actually ends up on the right side of the argument. And that doesn't happen very often. But in this debate, he finds himself pushing back against something that many viewers are going to find deeply disturbing. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now here's the situation. During this panel discussion, one of the guests, sitting second from the left, steps into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Lady Victoria Harvey, a longtime defender of Prince Andrew, begins making statements that immediately raise eyebrows across the entire panel. And when I say defending Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, I'm not talking about mild skepticism or asking questions about the evidence. No, this goes much further than that. Throughout this exchange, she repeatedly downplays the seriousness of the Epstein scandal and begins making claims that many people would consider not just controversial, but frankly shocking. At several points, her comments come across as dismissive toward the young victims who have spent years trying to get their stories heard. And that's where the tension in the room really starts to rise. Because while some debates on television are heated but predictable, this one quickly turns into something else entirely, a moment where the rest of the panel begins pushing back hard against what they're hearing. Even Piers Morgan, who has hosted thousands of intense interviews, looks genuinely stunned at some of the claims being made. And as the conversation unfolds, you can actually see the frustration building on the faces of the other guests. What makes this clip stand out is that it's not just a disagreement over politics or media narratives. It's about how people respond when serious allegations involving powerful individuals collide with public accountability. And, as you're about to see, the discussion goes from uncomfortable to downright unbelievable. So let's watch this clip and see exactly how this moment unfolds.
Lady Victoria Harvey, I mean, you've been very steadfast in your support of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, but given what you've now...
That's quite a long name, isn't it?
...been reading... Well, you know, he had all his titles stripped quite rightly, but given what you've now... Yeah. Right, but given what you've now seen about what he was up to...
So let me just give you an update. Let me just give you an update. So as of within the last 24 hours, the FBI did a statement and they said, with all the information that they have seen, all the millions of files, everything, they have come to a conclusion that this was not a sex trafficking ring.
Well, where's that statement?
Let that sink in. It's all over. I sent the link to your producers this morning. So
no one's been able to find that statement. So you're talking about a statement nobody has seen this statement.
The FBI has said, and I will send it to your people afterwards, that it was not. So exactly what I told you in 2019. I said, Piers, these girls were not trafficked. And that word was too strong a word. Anyway, the FBI have recently said this in the last 24 hours. It was not a sex trafficking operation. Yes,
well, let me bring Spencer Coogan back on that, because you'll know better than anybody.
It's out there, and I will.
Spencer Coogan, apparently, none of this involves sex trafficking. Spencer Coogan.
There might have been girls that were abused. That is not the wording, but it was not a. It was not a sex trafficking ring.
Ms. Harvey.
So yeah. I just want to get the right information out there, because there's a lot of disinformation.
Well, yeah, and most of it appears to be coming out of your mouth. I think at the end of the day, what we need to remember,
you're making money from this.
We have nearly hundreds of young girls under the age of 18 that were sexually abused and trafficked
because you are making money
Jeffrey
from
Epstein, by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Don't forget that we have one woman who's sitting in jail, convicted.
How much money did you make from this?
Convicted of sex trafficking.
See. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, I think the problem we have is that we're giving voice to people like Miss Harvey.
I'm not Miss Harvey, I'm Lady Victoria, actually.
Oh, okay, Miss Harvey. For 20 years, people have been fighting. These young girls have been fighting to be heard.
Really?
Fighting to make sure the world knows what happened to them.
So how much money have you made from this?
And finally, the U.S. government is starting to release the documents that verify what these girls have been saying all along.
The FBI just verified it's not a sex trafficking ring. Okay.
Okay. Is this the same FBI that apparently is hiding additional documents and deleting names that are in those documents?
I don't know,
is it the same FBI that we're talking
that's what's
about?
happening. So
yeah,
it's out there. Even ABC News, which is not always the most reliable.
Victoria, here's what I just find completely baffling. That even with this unbelievable document,
they also spoke about Virginia.
Hang on, let me finish.
Virginia lied.
Let me finish, please.
Huge.
Let me finish, please.
Yeah.
Let me finish. Even notwithstanding a 3 million document dump of files, which reveal the most horrific stuff going on with Epstein, with Ghislaine Maxwell, with others, you still just want to pretend there's nothing to see here. Why?
I'm not pretending there's nothing to see here. I'm just stating what the FBI have come to the conclusion it was not a sex trafficking ring.
Nobody's seen that.
Which means Ghislaine is in jail for not trafficking to anybody. So she should be released right away.
She was found guilty.
But there were no clients. There was no client list, Piers. You're not understanding it. I like you a lot.
You're not understanding she was convicted and sent to prison.
I know. It's very frustrating for people like you because it's just like the media has built it up into this huge thing. Yes, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein was a spy. Like, that is true. Like, he was working for various different intelligences. We know that. But the fact is, he was not lending out the girls to his friends.
He was.
Really?
We know that he was.
Everybody knows he was.
I don't know what your name is, the lawyer, but you obviously made a lot of money from this. Can you tell us what you made from this?
Can you tell us what you've done with Mr. Andrew? Can you tell us about your relationship with him and what he's told you?
I haven't seen him in many years.
Why don't you talk to us about what he's admitted to you?
I'm defending him because I know he is not guilty.
And you know this because he told you this?
How do you know that?
Talked to you about it?
I know. I've been very good so far. I was right about COVID. I was right about the vaccines. I was right about BLM. I'm right about this.
All right, Katie Nicholl, let me bring you back in here. What is so febrile this scandal, and the thing for the royals that's so difficult, they don't know what's left in these files to come out. They don't know how bad this could still get, even from this terrible position they're now in. It could get a lot worse. Almost every day brings new revelations. The revelation this morning that Andrew was leaking his secret information as a trade envoy for Britain to a convicted paedophile, that alone is unbelievably damaging to the reputation of the royal family. It's an act of treachery.
Well, it is, and we've all seen how it's ended up for Mandelstam, and I'm afraid that Andrew is not exempt for that. These are, as you say, new allegations. They've only surfaced today, as we know from the statement, which I think is broken while we've been on air out of Buckingham Palace. We know that the King, the Queen, all members of the royal family will cooperate with Thames Valley Police as and when they need to. The royal family, as I said earlier, are in a very, very difficult position. I think almost a position like the rest of us. They have to wait and see what's going to happen next. Is Andrew going to go over to the States and voluntarily testify? Of course he's not. If the Met open up this investigation, then he will have to answer questions. And I think most people feel that's exactly what he needs to do. But perhaps first, the statement that needs to come is from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, from Sandringham, expressing some empathy for those victims. There is such a gaping hole in all of this, and that he's left that to other members of his family to do. He should absolutely be doing that. And I'm quite astonished by some of the things that Lady Victoria has said on air. I have to say, I think all of our feelings and empathy need to be with those girls. When you hear how young they were, it's truly terrible.
I'm afraid Victoria
I just thought of something else I would just like to put out there because, being in my position, I have been in a position where I have been able to be vocal, and that means that I've had a lot of people reaching out to me with information. A couple of months ago, I had a British girl reach out to me, and she said that her and her friend met Jeffrey Epstein in Virginia the weekend of March 10th, 2001, at the Dorchester Hotel. Virginia lured them to Jeffrey's hotel. She made the girls lie and say that they were 18 years old. One was 13, one was 14. They actually signed NDAs with Virginia, and David Boies paid them off. Now, they're too scared to come out.
Well, unless you've got evidence for any of that, I'm not going to just allow you to spew any cock and bull conspiracy theory that has come to your mind.
Once David Boies, it might take to the point where he passes away, and then I feel like the floodgates will open, and all. Well, you know what?
David Boies might well sue you. David Boies might well sue you over what you just said.
Well,
it's a
these
very
girls
serious
are
defamation.
in touch with the Metropolitan Police. So what I want to tell you is, I'm very much in touch with the police, literally on WhatsApp, and they know a lot of information that you guys are not privy to. But
do you know what, Victoria? With the greatest respect, I think you talk utter shit.
All right.
And I'm sorry. I've known you a long time. I think you've disappeared down a conspiracy rabbit hole that is frankly repulsive.
I've always been right about my conspiracies. You were wrong about COVID and you were wrong about the vaccine.
You don't give a damn about these girls. You don't give a damn about these victims. You think it's fine to smear all of them. You admit it. You proudly admit it. And I think it's shameful.
Why would I feel sorry for people that are liars?
We now know from these documents just how disgusting this scandal is, and yet still you come on shows like this and you're still in total denial for reasons that completely baffle me.
Can we talk about the quality of girls? So Anushka DeGiorgio as an example. You know what she did? Like, this is the caliber of person we're talking about. Anushka DeGiorgio.
Actually, I'm not going to let you smear them. I'm sorry.
She was the girl that set up Tom Parker.
No, I'm not going to let you do it.
No,
sorry,
she did it. She did that whole story.
I'm not letting you do it. I'm not letting you smear these victims anymore. I'm just not going to let you do it. Just cut her off.
Honestly, guys, after watching that entire exchange, it's hard not to sit there for a moment and process what we just heard. Because debates around the Epstein scandal have been happening for years now. People argue about timelines, evidence, institutions, and accountability. That part isn't new. But what we just saw in this clip goes far beyond a normal disagreement. Hearing someone openly dismiss the victims and suggest they're lying, and then go even further by questioning what she called the quality of those girls, that's the kind of statement that immediately shocks people. You could feel the tension in the room the moment those words were said. And it's not hard to understand why. For years, many of the victims connected to this case fought just to be taken seriously. Some of them spent decades trying to get their stories heard, while powerful individuals around them denied, ignored, or dismissed what they were saying. So when someone goes on national television and begins brushing those claims aside, it's naturally going to provoke a strong reaction. And then there was another moment that stood out. And when she interrupted to correct someone and insisted on being called lady, it might seem like a small detail, but it says a lot about the mindset that was being displayed. The sense of status and elite circles being treated as if they somehow place people above criticism. That's exactly the dynamic that many people believe allowed this scandal to go unchecked for so long. Throughout the debate, some pretty dramatic claims were also thrown out. But when you actually look into them, there's very little solid evidence backing many of those statements up. And in a case this serious, spreading unsupported claims or dismissing documented convictions only makes things worse, which is why something unusual happened here. Piers Morgan, someone who often finds himself at the center of controversy, actually stepped in and shut the conversation down when it started turning into attacks on the victims themselves. And whether people agree with Morgan on other issues or not, in this moment he was clearly drawing a line. Because debating powerful individuals is one thing, but attacking the credibility of victims in a case like this is where many people say enough is enough. And that's why this moment has been spreading online. It wasn't just a heated panel discussion. It was a glimpse into how far some people are willing to go to defend powerful figures tied to one of the most disturbing scandals in recent memory. So now I want to hear from you. What did you think about that exchange? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if clips and breakdowns like this interest you, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.